There we go. So today's practice is the spring cleaning practice. And the idea of spring cleaning is to kind of get rid of things you don't need. And from in kind of a figurative perspective, you can't fill up a bowl or a vessel that's already full. So getting rid of things you don't need means that you have more space for things that you do need, or the new things that you want. In physiologically, our bodies have a lot of ways of getting rid of things that we don't need. So our whole digestive system, our liver, our lungs, even our skin help us to kind of get rid of things that we don't need. But it's maybe less often that we think about ways of letting go of thoughts that we don't need or habits that we don't need. So for today, we can think of spring cleaning in a very broad sense. So letting go of all the things that we don't need, and to support the physiological aspect of that, there's a lot of twisting in this class, which in the yoga tradition is meant to kind of stimulate digestive fire and create a little bit of the type of compression around the midsection that helps with elimination. So we'll start out with that. Feel free to sit up on a block. We'll start with pranayama, breathing into the chest, and we'll find this as an ujjayi pranayama, so the victorious breath. And so for this, you can breathe in and make it audible, so breathing in through your nose. Constricting your throat so it sounds like maybe a swarm of bees or water through a pipe, and then you can just let the breath out be natural, letting it out the nose. So a loud breath in, and relax. Going at the speed of your own breath with this ujjayi pranayama. Audible, slow inhale. If kumbhak is part of your practice, if you're used to holding your breath, you could hold the breath for 1 or 2 seconds at the top and then let the breath go. A quiet and regular exhale. In the yoga tradition, ujjayi pranayama is meant to help regulate the emotions, help with expression. And it also is a nice breath to be able to return to during the practice if you ever feel like you're starting to hold your breath, especially if some of the twisting that we do is challenging, you find yourself holding your breath through it. Making the breath audible is a way to come back and find the breath again. We'll do a few more cycles of ujjayi pranayama on our own pace. And our next posture, next exercise is almost another pranayama, lion breath. I think we've done this one before. You could keep your legs in a cross-legged position, or if you like, you could come to a kneeling position, maybe with sitting on a block, if that's more comfy. And so we'll breathe in through our nose. And as we breathe in, we'll pull fierce lion paws up, breathing in. And then as we breathe out, we'll bring our hands down, press them firmly onto our thighs. We'll breathe out our mouth with our tongue extended and our eyes looking up and back. So it looks like this. So this is a lot of ferocity of a lion in this breath. And when you exhale, you're really letting all the air out. You're kind of pressing all the air out over your tongue. And it will be kind of a noisy exhale. So we'll do a few cycles of this at our own pace. If it feels like it's a bit silly or a bit funny, it's okay to laugh. That's also a good part of yoga. One more cycle at your own pace. And then when you've come to the end of your exhale, move our props off to the side and come into a all fours tabletop position. Spread our hands out underneath our shoulders. Put our knees right underneath our hips. And from here, we can peel the hands up, place them back down, peel them up, tight little ball. So we'll do some cat paws here, just as if you were a cat, happy cat needing maybe catnip lace cat bed. So we're warming up the fingers, the hands, the wrists, even the elbows here. We can come back to our even tabletop here. We'll take a few cat-cow. Inhale, tail comes up, chin comes up. And exhale, rounding up through the back. Letting this be slow and gentle to start. Moving at the speed of your own breath to a comfortable range of motion. Tuning into what you feel in your back, in your shoulders, and your hips. Noticing any sounds or sensations. When you come to the end of your next cycle, you can step back for your right toes. Pressing your right toes, pressing your heel back. Letting this be a nice stretch for the calf. And then we can lift up our right foot, rotating so the inner thigh lifts up towards the ceiling, toes point down towards the ground. Drawing up on our abdominal muscles, so keeping the back really strong. And then from here we can inhale, left arm out. So we have diagonal arm and leg. We'll take a deep breath in here. And then exhale, elbow to knee, or you could set your arm and leg down for a moment. Inhale, stretching back out. Exhale to curl in. Inhale to stretch out. Exhale, curling in. Last time to inhale, stretch out, and then both feet, both knees, both hands come back down.
And then we will stretch back through the left toes this time, pressing back through the left heel. And I stretch through the calf. From here we can inhale to float the left leg up. Heel comes up to about hip height. Toes pointing down, inner thigh rolling up. Inhale the right arm coming up. We'll take a deep breath in here. And then exhale as we curl in, knee to elbow. Or you could set your hand and knee down. Inhaling to grow long. Exhaling. Really pressing out all the air here, making room for the next breath as we inhale, long diagonal. Exhale, curling in. Last inhale, coming out, drawing up on the abdomen, strong spine. And then exhale, hands and knees come down. We can sink our hips back towards our heels and then settle down into a child's pose. Letting your head contact the mat. Letting your hips be really heavy here. Your spine waterfalls forward. One more breath in child's pose. And come up briefly through our tabletop option here, tucking the toes under and then coming up into a downward dog, letting the knees stay bent so that the sitting bones can shine up towards the ceiling. Letting the head hang heavy. Feel free to move your head around. Heels sinking down towards the mat. Finding the lion fierceness in our fingertips, so clawing the mat a little bit, finding that strength in our forearms. A deep breath in here. Move our feet towards the center of the mat. So a little closer to one another, and then we'll inhale. Right foot comes up, move forward a little bit. Inhale, the right foot comes up, and then exhale, coming forward with the right foot and coming up into a crescent lunge. So the back heel is floating up off the mat. From here, we'll take an inhale, arms coming all the way up. Both hips squaring towards the front. If you like, you can sort of take some gentle flow with your legs here, bending your front knee. One more deep breath in here, and then we'll exhale, bringing our hands down to frame our front foot. We'll leave our left hand on the ground, and then inhale, right arm comes up towards the ceiling. Letting your right hip draw backwards a little bit towards the back of your mat. Letting that provide a little more space to open up. Sometimes I like to move my tummy a little bit so that I feel like I have a little more freedom. Last deep breath in here, and then exhale, hands come down, framing the front foot, and we can step back into a downward dog or into a tabletop. Or we can take a few deep breaths in child's pose. If you're feeling really feisty, you could do a vinyasa right now, moving through chaturanga, cobra, or upward dog, and then back into downward dog. Come back into tabletop or into downward dog and get ready for the other side. With feet together, inhale, the left leg floats up. Exhale, the left foot comes forward, getting lighter and lighter through the fingertips, rising up, Anjaneyasana, crescent pose, crescent lunge on this side. Drawing in on the abdomen. The shoulders be down and relaxed. Hips square towards the front. Feel like you can take gentle bounces through your knees if it feels tight or compressed. Take a deep breath in here, and then as we exhale, hands come down to frame the front foot. Right hand stays down on the mat this time, reaching up through the left. And then adjust my tummy here so I have a little more room to revolve. Drawing back on the outside edge of the left hip this time. Drawing it back towards the back of the mat. Maybe feeling like that gives you a little more space to expand. Revolve through your chest. Maybe looking up towards the ceiling, but let this be really gentle on your neck. So I want to crank the neck here. Deep breath in, exhale. Hand comes back down to frame the front foot. And then stepping back to downward dog. Maybe to a vinyasa. Maybe into tabletop or child's pose. Step your feet together again. As we come up towards downward dog, we'll inhale to float the right leg up. And then exhale, move forward into a crescent lunge again. So reaching up through both arms, hips squaring off towards the front of the mat. From here, we'll take a deep breath in, and then we will rotate towards our bent leg. So reaching forward and back with our arms, pulling back through the right hip. And the hips be square to the front. We'll inhale, coming back to face the front of the mat. We'll bring our hands into prayer in front of our chest. Take a deep breath in here to grow tall. Long through the spine, and then exhale. Tip forward slightly, and then rotate so that left elbow comes towards the right knee. And from here, maybe in hands in prayer position, or if you like, reaching out wide like a big hug for this side of the room. Continuing to pull back through the outside edge of the right hip. Deep breath in here, and then returning hands to prayer, looking down at the ground. Take a deep breath in, and then as we exhale, step forward as many steps as you need to come into a Parvriti Utkatasana, a revolved chair pose. Finding the weight in the center of your feet. We'll take a deep breath in here. And exhale, coming into acknowledge a straightforward chair. Arms coming up, and then we will inhale, reaching all the way up. Feels nice to straighten the legs. Exhale, swan dive over bent knees. Letting your chest relax onto your legs. Maybe hands on blocks. Maybe grabbing opposite shins. From here, you can bend your knees more deeply. Set your hands onto the mat. We'll step back into a downward dog. We'll take a few breaths here, so option to come down into a child's pose or find a tabletop. Let your head be heavy. From here, we can step our feet a little close together. Inhale to lift up through the left leg. And then exhale, Stepping forward, finding a lunge with the left foot forward this time. Drawing in on our tummy to support the spine. Squaring off with the hip bones, facing straight forward. We'll take a deep breath in, and then as we exhale, opening up towards our bent leg, pulling back on the outside hip. Seeing if this gives us a little more openness to revolve. Take our next inhale to come straight forward, arms overhead, and as we exhale, hands come to heart center. Incline forward a little bit. Revolve any amount. Maybe the elbow comes to the outside of the knee. Whatever position we find, continue to pull back to the outside edge of the left hip. Option here maybe to open wide, big hug for this side of the room. Finding length through the spine, all the way from the tailbone, up through the crown of the head. Deep breath in here. Return our palms to prayer. Bring your gaze down to the floor for balance. And then take as many steps as you need to come into revolved chair pose. Avriti Utkatasana. Squaring off through your knees. Keeping your spine long. We'll take a deep breath in here. Exhale, coming to center. Briefly acknowledging chair pose. Then we can inhale, coming all the way up. Exhale, swan dive forward over bent knees. Letting the chest be supported by the thighs. Finding whatever arm variation feels good today. Head is loose and relaxed. From here, we can bend our knees a little bit more. Press our hands into the mat. And step back into a downward dog, into a tabletop. Finding the breath here. Head is heavy. Next inhale, we can bend our knees, bring our gaze up in between our hands, and then take as many little steps as we need to come up to the front of the mat. Take a moment in Uttanasana, forward fold. We can ground down through our feet, church up through our legs. Inhale, coming all the way up. Exhale, we can bring our hands in front of our chest and our hands to hips. And I have walked back to the back of my mat, so I have a little bit of space in front of me. So next we have Virabhadrasana 3 or Warrior 3 pose. So from here you can take a step forward onto the right foot. Press onto the toes of the left foot. So you have kind of a kickstand here, and it's a long, straight, diagonal line from your toes up through the crown of your head. And this is a great alignment for Warrior 3. If you like, you can come forward any amount, pausing wherever you feel like you have good control of your alignment. If you like, you could hold on to blocks. You could bring your hands to prayer. On your side, you can come out wide like airplane wings. Reach out in front like Superman. Rotating the inside edge, inside of the inner thigh, the back leg, up towards the ceiling. And we'll inhale, swing up through, maybe not even touching the ground. Still standing on the right leg, coming up with the left leg bent, and then we can hold on to the bent knee here. So taking a moment here to level the hips. From here we can hold on to the left knee with our right hand, open out to the side. If you're used to doing this with a straight leg, you can also try that. Wherever you are, leveling your pelvis. Maybe starting to bring your gaze towards your back hand. Take a last deep breath in here. Start to rotate forward. And then here we have an option. This left leg, we can bring it in for a tree pose. Or we can bring it in front for a standing pigeon. So I'm going to take the tree pose variation today. Pressing in, sole of the foot against thigh, going up tall. Take a deep breath in here. And then we can set both feet down, find our way back to our original starting position. Maybe I'm migrated forward a bit. Bring the hands to hips, find our alignment on our mat. Hips are facing forward, shoulder facing forward. We'll step with the other foot this time. Bringing our kickstand of a back leg. Just barely holding on with our toes. And we want to find a long straight line from our back leg through our spine up through the crown of our head. And once you have that strong alignment, that is Virabhadrasana 3. Option to tip forward any amount, checking alignment as you go, toes pointing down towards the floor, inner thighs rotating up, hip points, shoulders, finding whatever depth, whatever arm variation feels good for you. Finding your breath here. If you find that you've lost your breath, you can always come back to Ujjayi Pranayama. One deep breath in here, and then swing right leg up and through, bending the knee and holding on to the knee. Using this as a moment to realign ourselves on our mat. Find our balance in our standing leg. We can inhale, opening up to the right. Opening the chest wide. Side is tricky for me today. Inhale there. Come back to center. Set both of our feet down. Take a deep inhale. Arms coming all the way up. And we'll find tree pose with our right leg this time. I almost forgot. So tree pose or standing pigeon. Wherever it's at for you. Pressing in, foot against the thigh. Going tall through the spine. deep breath in here, and then float the knee forward and back down. Now we can come back to the front of our mat. Inhale, the arms coming all the way up. Exhale, swan diving forward. Relaxing the upper body onto the thighs. Letting the head hang loose. Here we can set our hands down and start to come down towards a squat. So we will either a couple of options here. Find ourselves in mermaid pose, so sitting on our bum or sitting on a block with our knees and feet, our beautiful mermaid tail over to one side. And from here, we can hold on to our feet, or one of our feet, and reach up and over. If you find that you're tipping over a lot and it's hard to find your balance with mermaid pose, you can always sit up on a block. So a little boost in the hips can give you enough angle. If you like, and you're keen on trying an arm balance, in lieu of mermaid pose, you can come into a squat. Bring your hands over to one side, pressing down onto the mat. And then connect opposite elbow to opposite knee. Start to tip forward. And maybe the feet lift up. And if that's not where it's at today, then nice breathing into mermaid. Both will give us a nice twist on one side and opening on the other. When that's enough, you can change the orientation of your mermaid tail over to the other side. Both sides might be different, so even if you didn't need a block on the first side, you may want to evaluate that and see if you do on this side. Hold onto your tail or onto the ground, reaching up and over. If you were keen to try the side crow variation, you can also try that with your feet starting up on a block. Might be an easier way to find the balance or getting your weight onto your hands. When that feels like enough of mermaid, we'll take a revolved Upavishta Konasana. So you can open the legs out wide in a big V. This is another spot where it might be nice to sit. A hard block isn't great, but sitting up on a folded blanket or maybe a cushion, or if you have a yoga bolster, that's a nice way to do it. Lifting your hips up a little bit higher than your feet and your knees is nice here because I'll show this from the side. You want your pelvis to be tipped slightly forward, and sometimes if your hips aren't up on height, your pelvis will tend to tip backwards. And if that's the case and you come into this sort of rounding back, we want to make enough adjustments so that the alignment supports more of a tilting forward kind of pelvis. Bring our toes up towards the ceiling. Sometimes it's nice to actually adjust the flesh of your legs and your bum kind of under your sitting bones, and pulling all of
sort of the underneath flesh back also helps to roll the body forward a little bit. So that can be nice. This is Upavishta Konasana. There's always the option to come straight forward, but since this is the twisting and revolving spring cleaning class, we can take our right hand down towards our right leg, maybe inside the right knee, and start to lift up and over with the left arm. So here being very, very heavy through the left hip. You want to almost use your right hand to push your left hip down. So we're not trying to fold over to touch the foot necessarily. We're trying to open up by expanding and inflating through the left rib cage, left side body, so all of that flank portion in between the pelvis and the ribs. Well, quadratus lumborum muscle is there, something that can get quite tight and give us back pain. Take a moment here to open all that up. Staying heavy through the left hip. We'll take one more deep breath in here. And exhale, slowly, gently coming back. Try this on the other side. Left hand goes inside the right knee. Up and over. Really focusing on staying heavy through the right hip. Right sitting bone stays grounded into the mat. And pushing a little bit through our left hand. Letting this be not so much a collapse or a reaching over towards the leg, more of an inflation. Really letting our right rib cage, right lung, right side body be really buoyant. Inflating with every breath. One more deep breath in here, and then as we exhale, slowly, gently start to come up. Bring our legs together. And we can pull the sitting or the flesh kind of back from the sitting bones. Maybe take a little walk forward. If you find that your pelvis is starting to tip back, that you're slumping, rounding through your back, feel free to sit up on that same cushion or folded blanket. Find a nice strong dandasana here, pressing down, either through the palms of your hands or maybe through fists. Letting your shoulders relax away from your ears, growing up tall through the crown of your head. We can inhale, the arms up. Exhale, bring the arms forward. Maybe spider creeping the hands down the shins, leading with the chest. Gaze is still forward here, letting this be an active stretch. Think about drawing our toes back towards our shins, so we're pushing out through the heel. If this gives you any pain in your low back or the back of your legs, you could also slide a rolled up towel underneath your knees. Take another deep breath here and then move into a more passive version. We relax the head down. If your head feels heavy, if it feels like there's tension on your neck or on your back, you could always bring your head or bring your chest down to a block. So the props are here to make us comfortable and make the postures easeful enough that the muscles can lengthen and relax. One more deep breath in here. We can exhale, gently roll up. Roll onto our tummies.
And we'll prepare for a Sphinx pose or a baby cobra. So we'll press the tops of our feet into the mat, including the pinky toe side of the foot. Press our pubic bone into the mat. And then maybe with the elbows out in front of us, or maybe as it gets more comfortable, bringing your elbows underneath your shoulders. Finding that fierceness of lion claws, digging into the mat, and then without moving the hands, pull back on the hands to shine the heart forward. So finding a nice stretch, lengthening along the front side of the body. A stretch for the abdominal muscles. Take one more deep breath in here, and then exhale, slowly lengthening forward. And rest onto your stacked hands. Bring our feet up towards the ceiling, knees are bent. And a super slow, super gentle, side to side windshield wiper with the legs. That feels like enough. You can roll onto your back. Keep a block close enough to us. As we roll onto our back, we can bring the block in between our legs, just above our knees. So we're going to give the block a bit of a squeeze here. Bring our arms out in a T, or if needed, we can bring our hands to our knees. We're going to slowly roll over onto the left or onto the right side. Knees come over to the right. We're going to give the block a bit of a squeeze here. So finding a bit of strength, a bit of activity in this Jatara Parivartanasana, reclined twisting pose. Both shoulders really heavy, especially the left shoulder sinking down into the mat. Spreading wide across the chest. One more deep breath in here, and then slowly slide. Bring the knees up towards center. Gentle exhale, holding onto your knees if you like extra support. Bring knees over to the other side, giving the block a bit of a squeeze. The knees, legs aligned. Feeling heavy through both shoulders, spreading wide across the chest. One more deep breath in here, and then roll back to center. We can say goodbye to our block. Bring both knees in towards the chest. Kind of a side to side rock. Bring our feet down to the mat, and then an option here before coming into Shavasana, we can find a Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees opening up. If you like, you can always put blocks or cushions underneath your knees, give them a bit of support. I'm going to choose that. Just to provide a little bit of support for the weight of the legs so they're not pulling so much on the hip flexors. You can bring your arms out into Savasana position, or as an option, you can bring one hand to your tummy, one hand to your chest. Better feel the breath as it moves in and out. Start to slow down this practice. Slowly bring your hands out towards your knees, and then help your knees come back to center, and then one at a time, spread your legs, straighten them out, start to settle into the final relaxation of this practice, Shavasana. Your whole body settle down into the mat. Your feet flop lazily onto their sides. Ankles are loose and relaxed. Calves are heavy, sinking into the mat. Knees feeling juicy and alive. All the muscles of the thighs untangle. Let go and relax into the mat. Sensing a feeling of spaciousness in the pelvis. The left and right halves of the pelvis move apart from one another just slightly. Just enough space for the sacrum, tailbone, this back part of your pelvis to sink down into the mat. Feeling your spine contact the mat. Feeling your shoulders broadening, widening out from one another as your whole shoulder blades spread out and contact the mat. Letting go of any tension in the shoulders. Letting your upper arms be heavy and relaxed. Letting go of any gripping or tension in the forearms. Giving your fingers a bit of a wiggle as you spread out through the palms. Relax, palms, the backs of your hands sinking into the mat. Your fingers curl in gently. Letting all the muscles of your neck relax, muscles of your jaw, muscles in your temples, across your forehead. Smooth out and relax. Finding your breath. Letting the inhale and exhale be an anchor to the present moment. Patanjali was the scholar who wrote the Yoga Sutras. And some of the first lines in the Yoga Sutras define yoga. Yoga Chitam Vritti Yoga. Yoga is the stilling of thought waves in the mind. Stilling of thought waves. It's not going to sleep. It's not a lack of awareness or unthinking. Stilling the mind is a way of being more sensitive and aware to things as they come up. Letting go of some of the unneeded thoughts, the unneeded waves. Imagine this like a lake on a windy day, where there's white capping waves across the lake. If you were to throw a pebble into this lake, you wouldn't even notice. It'd be hard to see where it went in. But if the winds calm down and the surface of the lake becomes still, then even a tiny pebble will make ripples that you can see spreading out to forever. Tuning into the breath, finding your awareness in the present moment, gives us an opportunity to still the waves of our mind. Notice even the tiny ripples.
Returning to the breath, relaxing into the present moment. Allowing for that increased awareness. Noticing the tiniest ripples. I'm going to bring some movement into your fingers, into your toes. Starting to circle through your wrists, your ankles. Turning your head a little bit, side to side. Like reaching your arms alongside your head, stretching out long arms and legs, maybe yawn. And then when you're ready, rolling on to your right hand side, cradling your head on your arm. Taking a moment here to consolidate the practice. Think about what you noticed, what you learned. What you felt in your body, what you noticed about your breath. What it was like to experience challenge in the postures and the things that you say to yourself, or the stories that we all tell. Without attaching any judgments to any of that, good or bad. And let this practice go. Put it behind us. Give it a kiss goodbye, and then gently push yourself up to a seated position. Once you're seated, you can take an inhale with your hands out on your knees, and then as we exhale, bringing the hands to heart center. Thanks for practicing with me today. That's nice. Namaste.